I'm Tim, and welcome to the 50 Delta Project, my personal journey to see all 63 national parks. Today is episode 2 of the 50 Delta Project, Everglades, specifically the Gulf side. The reason why I say Gulf side is as I began along this journey, I started doing more and more research into the parks and started to realize that Everglades is massive. So I always knew I wanted to do an airboat ride. Thought it'd be something cool. And as I started researching, I realized that there's also a ferry ride to go out to a place called the 10,000 Islands section of the park. And I started kind of scaling out on the map and looking at the entirety of the Everglades, and realized this thing is 1.5 million acres. I mean, I knew it was big. When you look at it on the map, it goes from basically the Atlantic side all the way to the Gulf side. And so that's where we are today. This is the Gulf side. It's really, even this is so large, it's going to be in two parts. So we did this airboat ride, which is more national park adjacent. And then we actually jump onto a little bit larger boat, like a tour boat that the park offers to go out into the section known as the 10,000 Islands. And maybe something a little unexpected happens out there. So let's go ahead and jump on in. So this is us. We're kind of leaving the dock area. We chartered a tour from a company called, it was Captain Jack's. There's several little airboat options as you drive along the Tamiami Highway across. But we kind of ended up over here in this little town called, right here, it's called Everglades City. We'll go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Here we go. Everglades City's over here. Really cool little place. We actually stopped there between this airboat tour and the 10,000 Lakes section. Or 10,000 Islands, sorry. Kind of got that mixed up with Minnesota. But yeah, so I always knew I wanted to be on an airboat. I always thought they were cool. I think everybody's kind of seen them kind of flying around out there in the swamp and everything. And that was the other thing that came up. I say swamp. During this, discovery and this journey, started realizing, the Everglades isn't as much of a swamp. It's actually a slow-moving river. The water here, you can see, it's pretty shallow. But you'll see like this line here on the mangroves. The water comes up and down quite a bit with tidal rush, but also it is flowing north to south, heading out into the Gulf. And this is probably the best way to get around is on these airboats when you live in these areas. All these channels, it's like a maze of water, realistically. So anyway, we chartered this boat and decided to get out there and kind of experience it. And pretty cool things, you get out there, get up to speed and whatnot. As you see back there, that was a little boardwalk you can walk out to. Captain Jack's provides. You can walk out and kind of watch everybody kind of go by as they come in. But they actually get out here and they open these things up. Right now we're staying really, kind of soft. This is about 5 times speed right now. We're kind of going a little slower, but you can see the tail on that one up ahead of us. And this is where they decided, hey, let's, you guys want to open it up? And here we go. Again, 5 times speed. I'll go ahead and take it down to standard speed. So we're moving at an okay clip, nothing too crazy. Just making our way through the mangroves, and the guide's telling us some cool stories about what a mangrove is and whatnot. And like I said, this is not actually part of the national parks. This is like park adjacent. A lot of businesses and little towns kind of pop up and around all these national parks, and this is one of those. Just a little boat tour company. I think they had 5 or 6 boats, and you can, they take about 30 to 40 minutes or so to complete. So we'll go ahead and speed this up some more. Again, we're moving about 5 times speed. So realistically, you're just kind of moving along as he's telling you little things about the mangroves. Some really interesting aspects about these I didn't know. They were like master survivors and just kind of grove. Like, let's see, here's a good shot. So you can see that water line right here. And, you know, you see these like roots, this root system's kind of popping up and out of the water. These things filter salt water, you know, magnificently. They pull the salt out and then get the nutrients they actually need from it. It's one of just a few species of tree. It's the red mangrove and the white mangrove and something else they mentioned that can actually live in brackish water like this, and creates an entire ecosystem for fish and birds, obviously alligators, and one mammal he mentioned, it was the red raccoon, something like the saltwater red raccoons. I don't quite remember. I'll look it up and I'll pop it up here on the video. But it's pink-ish, you know. I guess it eats the same krill and everything, and the foods that make flamingos turn pink. So we didn't get to see one, but I'd be very interested in getting the opportunity to do so. So here we are, we're just kind of moving around in, like I said, this little mangrove forest. The water is very shallow. I think at the deepest points, he said maybe 2 or 3 feet deep at the deepest parts. I think, yeah, this is where we spotted an alligator. I don't think you'll be able to see it on the video. This is why we turned around. So he, you know, he said that this section right here is actually kind of known for having gators pop up, and that's why we kind of stopped and we spun around. I'll speed up just a little bit. Yeah, I think it was right over here we saw it. I don't think we got it. When I was looking at the video, I didn't really get it. He's kind of right in here. Most likely a she, actually. I really don't think we pick it up on the video. Yeah, there's another one of the airboats coming through. This is where we turn around again to try and spot it. I'm pretty sure it's yeah, people are pointing it. So it's right here in this little section of the mangroves. Let's see. I mean, you could barely see just like the eyes poking up out of the top. Yeah, I think I cut away because we just couldn't get to it. But it's down in here. That log? Nope. That's the thing with them, right? Is it a log? Is it a gator? You don't know. Trying to zoom in. You could barely see her, just barely got her nostrils and her eyeballs out. You know, that very classic gator pose, kind of tucked away back in here. Alright. Yeah, I can't really see her on video, so we'll go ahead and keep moving. So like I was saying, the water kind of rises and falls, you know, depending on the tide and everything, and it provides an incredible ecosystem for all kinds of species of fish and birds and other wildlife. As far as the gators go, it was a little on the chillier side when we were on this trip, so they were kind of hiding and kind of tucked away in the beds of mud and whatnot. But yeah, you can see it's pretty low in here, water-wise. Navigate through some low stuff and moving obstacles. All right, so this is where he really decides to open up. So I'll go ahead and put this at normal speed. So kind of hard to tell on video, but we're moving at a pretty good clip here. I'd say 25, 30, maybe even 40 miles per hour. I know when I spoke to the guide after the trip, he said that he's definitely got this thing on plane and hopping a few times when he's out solo. He actually owns his own airboat, not just a guide. That's how the locals get around and see their area. There's another tour coming through, so we'll go ahead and speed up past them. Go back to we go. There we go. Start speeding up. So yeah, it was a pretty adventurous moment in our trip, coming through these channels at a pretty good high speed and getting everything kind of the water spray and a little bit of the cold coming at you. It was definitely chilly at this time of the day. It was 55, 60 maybe degrees, and you get that wind spray on you. So if you go, I recommend that you and they say this in the tour, don't bring anything that you don't want to get wet. Luckily the camera is relatively water resistant, because it did get some spray on it. So yeah, this is cool. I'm going to back that up a little bit. So this is where we come out of the main channel, and you can see we're moving pretty good, and he's getting this thing up and sliding it around, kind of that classic airboat thing that you see on TV and whatnot. And you can see the water's definitely getting pretty shallow. So here we are coming through. There you go. You can see we're putting up a pretty good wake. So this was cool. So he pulls us into this very, very shallow portion. You can see it's maybe 2-3 inches deep, and slides us right over this mud bank. And we're just skimming across the top. There's basically no water there. You're just sliding across mud. And I did ask him, I was like, so how shallow can you get these things? He says, oh, I can scoot these across dry land if I need to. Just open the fan up and let it go, which I thought was pretty amazing. And speaking of fan boats, apparently he was telling us that they were invented by, of all people, Alexander Graham Bell. So the guy who invented the telephone. I guess he was in a competition, to also do first flight along with the Wright brothers. And his thoughts were, if I take this gigantic fan and put it in the front of, a boat-like vessel with some wings to create, lift, that he could get it to take off, which sounds promising, I suppose, but didn't really work. And so somewhere down the road, people decided, well, let's reverse that and put it on a boat. And they started doing that. And then they realized, well, if we put these really flat bottom boats with these high speed fans, we can skim across this water at a good clip. And over the last 100 or so years, that's what the airboat developed into. Super lightweight, aluminum, flat bottom, huge, powerful fan. I mean, these things are loud. That's why, if you saw the clip, we all had headphones on while doing this to protect our ears from some of the noise. He was actually able to speak those through their microphones. We could all hear each other. It was a really cool experience. So I'd say if you are going to be on the Gulf side, or if you're going to be in the Everglades in general, plan a trip to the Gulf side and get on an airboat. Pretty awesome. So this is just us heading back. We'll kind of speed up through this. Yeah, you can see it's just constantly low. Just some docks on the side there. There's some bigger boats, but those aren't going to go in. You'll see here in just a minute when we go out on a different vessel. More of a giant pontoon catamaran thing that we end up on after this. There we are, pulling in. We'll go ahead and get on to the 10,000 Lakes tour. Just a moment. Here we go. So this is the 10,000 Lakes tour, and we'll kind of come through here just a little bit slower this time on this round. This is that Everglades City. Cool little town. We the time between our tours is a couple hours, so we had time to kind of explore a little bit. There's actually a new national parks visitor center going in Everglades City. We got to drive over by it and see it. It's still under construction, scheduled to be completed before the end of this year, I believe it was. But lots of cool little restaurants and obviously catering to the parks and everything. When I say small town, I mean very small town. I think they mentioned that the high school was maybe 10 people at any one time. Or maybe it was the class and everything. So yeah, cool little restaurants, really good seafood from my understanding. We didn't get a chance to stop just because we only had a couple hours between the two tours that we did. A couple of gift shops over there, small gas station, just a place you can kind of go and explore that kind of backcountry Florida section. So, but this is, you see, on the airboat, we kind of turned over there. Here, this is actually heading us out into the bay. And we'll go ahead and get into some more open water here. So again, we're still not in the national park as of yet. I think this is the Gun and Rod Club, something like that. He said that it has a very good lunch. So if you're ever in the area, he highly recommended this. I'm going to crank this up a little more. Get us out into the open water. Another restaurant. And along the side, you couldn't see it so much in these videos, but there was an RV park, all these Class A RVs all lined up, sitting right over here on the channel. Really cool place. Let's get us out into open water. So like I said, it's not what I would have thought to think of Everglades, open water. I always thought, grass, gators, the typical. But when you're at 1.5 million acres, sure, there's some biodiversity, involved in that. So I believe this is, is the sign coming up? Possibly. Can't remember. There's a point where you actually cross over into the national park, and we do pass it. I'll try to get a good shot of it. I believe I did get a decent shot. And once you cross over into that, you do have to have your National Parks Pass or the day pass in order to be out there. Apparently there are rangers that come out on boats and check. So that way everybody's legal. So this might be it right here. Yeah. A vast open area, kind of like the previous video of Biscayne. If you hadn't had a chance, go ahead and take a look at it. And also, hey, thumbs up, subscribe, comment. It's the only way these small channels grow. And let's see. Nope, this is just another guide entrance. This might be it. Yes. So right now, right here, kind of blurry, kind of hard to see, but this is where you are actually entering into Everglades National Park. So all that behind us was just part of Florida, park adjacent, as I like to call it. But now we are hitting the Everglades National Park main boundary. And we get out and we start exploring. So turned into from a 50, 60 degree day to a pretty nice 75, 80 degree day with some sun, perfect boat ride weather. Being able to get out and explore this section that's kind of underrated or underutilized portion of Everglades National Park. It's realistically why, like, if you're gonna do Everglades, you're gonna need 2-3 days at least. I recommend at least 3. We did 3.5 ish, and we still kind of came back and forth a little bit on a 4th full day, but in increments. There's a lot to see, especially when you're at 1.5 million. Now, most of it you can't really do anything with unless you're out on a paddleboard or something like that, or a canoe. But this was the way to see Gulf Side. The reason why it launched over off of by that Captain Jack's near Everglades City is because that visitor center is still under construction. Eventually, this tour and another boat known as the 10,000 Islands tour is going out there and going to be docked up right there at the visitor center. So instead of having to go through some of these third parties, you'll be able to charter it right with the National Park Services. Still would be a third party entity doing it, but you'll be able to do it right there at the yeah, okay, this is where, yeah, we're trying to find dolphins. So they're thinking, yeah, there they are. Did not expect to see dolphins in the Everglades National Park. It was like the last thing from my mind. And when you started saying, "Hey, we're gonna see some dolphins here in a moment, and see if we can capture them," and they started getting out there and playing, like dolphins do, they were kind of popping up on one side, popping up on another, and it was cool. Everybody was excited. Everybody loves dolphins, right? So we kind of danced around out in that water, spinning the boat around, trying to find them. Nope, kind of saw one back there again. So it was a great experience being able to get out there, just get my son to see dolphins, live for the first time. And it was really cool. So here we are spinning around. Yeah, we circled for quite a bit at probably 4 or 5 minutes before he's like, yeah, we gotta get going on, guys, because still got to get all the way out to the edge. So this tour actually takes you through all the 10,000 islands. I'll put quotes around islands. So what he was explaining is the islands themselves are really just mangrove clusters. So talking about mangroves being like incredible survivors, he was showing us a little shoot, maybe 6, 8, 10 inches at the most, a mangrove that pops off a mangrove, and he said that it just kind of floats along until it finds a low point and it lands on the bottom and it places its roots, and then over time it grows and it continues to grow, and then birds come around and drop seeds, which then creates more flora for the fauna to come in, and it just starts to build up. So really, the 10,000 islands are 10,000 or more little clusters of mangroves all throughout here. If you get an opportunity, or maybe I can pop it in and post an overview of this section of Florida. It's just dotted with green, and at any moment, he said, you can go, and the minute one of those lands and places itself and comes up out of the water, it's technically an island. Very small island, technically an island. So that's why they get the name, the 10,000 Islands. So here, this little white section right here, wish I could have got zoomed in a little bit better shot. So this white and that little bit of movement and glistening is actually pelicans. It was a whole bunch of them kind of sitting out on this edge of this mangrove island here. And you can see like the sand is just starting to connect, and they kind of get out here and enjoy. We kind of lingered around there. This is the very edge of the national park system. This is before you get out into true open water. You would obviously get out into the the U.S. waters, and then eventually you keep going south, and you're gonna hit Cuba. We'll go ahead and speed this up. It's time to turn around and head back. There it is. So if you just headed out that way, I think he said this boat could do it in about 4 or 5 hours. You'd be out there and getting close to Cuba. Yeah, pretty cool. Like I said, not what I thought when I said I was going to go see Everglades National Park. Not at all. Way out past this island, quite a bit way out there. That's where the Everglades City is. It kind of juts down, and at the very end of the point of that town is where the new visitor center is. Just running along, taking a look. Some of these islands, I'll have to look them up. But yeah, if you ever come out here, take a look at getting the opportunity. You can canoe out to these islands, and there's places to camp on them. I thought that would be a pretty cool return trip. Like I said, beautiful day, like perfect boat weather. Not too hot, not too cold. Just, it's Florida, right? You know, you never know what you're going to get. I think every state says it, that if you don't like the weather, you wait 5 minutes. Florida is the epitome of that. The fact that we weren't getting rained on was a bonus. So, yep, just kind of zooming back. And this is where something really cool happens. We're cruising along. And, you know, luckily the 360 camera catches everything. We're just kind of cruising along, heading back. People are pointing at the islands and whatnot. And all of a sudden, there we go. Let me back that up. Captain didn't even see it at first. Somebody in the back yelled, "Dolphin!" And there it was. Look at that. I mean, that is cinematic. That is the reason for the 50 Delta project. That's why I get out here. It's just an absolutely beautiful moment. And he doesn't do it just once, folks. He gets out here and he starts playing in this wake and having a good old time. Did that, what, 3-4 times? It was awesome. The smile on my son's face. I'll just back these back up. Here we go. I mean, look at this. This is one of those cliched once-in-a-lifetime events. I mean, look at that. Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, that's the Gulf side of Everglades National Park. I would venture to say we will be back. Don't know if we'll do Gulf side again. Kind of did that, explored it, but we did split this whole park into 3 days. So stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching.